This is a piece of work we did for a company who makes a medical device. You know, people who've got diabetes have to check their blood sugar. It's a device that they carry, right? This is not that device. I can't talk about what it is because there's a big kind of legal issue going on behind it. But think of it as a medical device that people have to carry around with them in case something happens to them. There are about 400,000 people who are susceptible to this disease, but only 100,000 of them know they've got it. The problem is that the existing product is going off patent in 2010. Now that means that the day that patent expires, all the competitors, including generic producers, are going to be in the market. You've got a premium product, basically you're going to lose all your sales. No question about that. Except we've got a new product, and the new product is better than the old one, and it's better than the competitors, but it can't have the same brand name. So we've got a very well-known product amongst the people who need it. Think of Hoover. You know, everyone thinks of Hoover as being a vacuum cleaner. It's that well-known amongst the people who need this thing. And we've got to replace it with something that isn't called Hoover. It's got to be called something completely different. Well, we did this work a year ago in April. So we're now 15 months further on, and we're now within 12 months of this event actually happening. Here's our structure for doing this. There's all the people who've got the complaint but don't know it. Here's all the people who've got it and are using the old product. So we want to get these people to switch over into here using the new product as quickly as possible. The product lasts about 18 months and has to be replaced. So over 18 months, these people are all going to switch over to another product. If we don't do this well, all of these people are going to move to a competing product. And all of these people who go to hospital will be given a competitor product if we don't do this well. These diagrams, by the way, are pretty much what we sketched up with the management team when we did this work. So what has to happen for this to work? These people in particular, they go to the doctor on a regular basis to have checkups, and the doctor gives them a prescription for a new device. So if that's going to happen, then the doctor has got to be committed to the new product. And the doctor is currently prescribing the Hoover. And now he's got to prescribe the widget instead of the Hoover.
The Dyson.
Yeah, the Dyson, absolutely. Yeah, they've got to start prescribing the Dyson. Go and get your Dyson from the pharmacy. And these doctors also have to be doing the same when they get someone new who's got this problem. This is a pretty unusual complaint. So your average GP is not front of mind for them. They very rarely think about it. It only happens once every 2 or 3 months or something. It's just not top of mind. So they're not worrying about this like they are about diabetes or stroke. It's just a very unusual thing. So getting them to even think about this, let alone actually make the switch, is a major challenge. They tend to respond to what they're told by people called key opinion leaders. These are the super experts in this particular complaint. And you can see it's such an unusual complaint. There's only about 20 of them. It's a very small group of people who specialize in this particular complaint. There's a dotted line there going from the number of key opinion leaders who are committed to the Dyson instead of the Hoover, persuading doctors to also switch from prescribing the Hoover to prescribing the Dyson. The reason it's a dotted line is because these people have got so little interest in the problem because it's so unusual that they're not really taking any notice of what the key opinion leaders are saying. Quite difficult. What levers have we got? Well, we've got marketing spend. We can market to doctors and we can market to patients. Problem with marketing to patients is that even when you've got this complaint, you don't suffer from it all the time. It's a very rare event. So the patients don't take any interest in their own complaint either. You know, it's not like people who have got diabetes, who are constantly conscious of the fact that they've got diabetes, and they have to worry about it all day, every day. They have to be at least thinking, being aware of it, right? These people might experience the problem next year, 5 years' time, or they may never experience it. So you don't have things like patient groups who've got their websites and there's constant chit-chat going on about the latest advance in their complaint. They just aren't bothered, right? They're living their life, pretending this isn't happening, and not worrying about it. So this arrow here basically doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't do anything to market to patients. They do things like, in the packaging, there's a little leaflet that says, go to this website and you'll find out all about how to use this thing and all the latest news. So of course, you've just been in the hospital, you just had this horrible thing happen to you. What do? You get home, you unwrap the thing, say, oh, I'll go to this website. And you go to the website, and, oh yeah. Do you ever look at it again? No, you don't. Right? So that link basically doesn't work. For the reasons I told you earlier, that link doesn't work either. Doctors aren't interested. This company's got a sales force of about 6 people. And there are 10,000 doctors. They simply don't get around these doctors. It just doesn't work, right? So this is quite a neat case because it also makes the point that you need to know what doesn't work as well as what does. We could easily have put the choice pipeline structure on here and said, oh, all we've got to do is we've got to get doctors to move from there to there to there to there to there. Yeah, job done, right? Doesn't work. The levers don't work because they're not connected to anything. That's not connected and that one's not connected. So what are we going to do? Well, the obvious thing to do is go and persuade the key opinion leaders because the doctors do at least listen to the key opinion leaders a bit if they're ever conscious of it, right? And indeed, that's what they are doing. In fact, they've got these people testing the Dyson already. They're already testing this new device and they're helping them write papers about how good this new device is. We've still got the problem, though, that there's a very dotted link here into this one here, which is doctors moving their behaviour. We've got a system that is very strong and it works really, really well as it is. But our levers to change it appear to be non-existent. And we worried about this for a long time because you can see the implications are pretty serious. This is really bad news for this company. It turns out there's one thing that we can do. These doctors go on reasonably regular update training events. So they would go away to some hospital or other and they'd spend a day or 2 days being briefed on latest advances in various things. So they might go up to Birmingham General and spend a couple of days there, and there'd be some expert in treatment of diabetes or treatment of stroke or something, and they'd lay out all the latest science and the latest advice and why you should do this and not do that. Don't tell people to take all these drugs, tell them to take more exercise, all that kind of stuff. So these people do go to events. Now what we could do is that we can get those people to go and give short talks at those events because the doctors are going to be there anyway. What you could at least do is you could say to them, look, I know you've been prescribing the Hoover for the last 20 years, but the Dyson really is a lot better. And we strongly recommend that you start prescribing the Dyson instead. I'm sorry, I realise I've taken 5 minutes of your precious 2 days, but just remember that, it's the Dyson from now on. And then you can actually follow up with a sales call to the doctors saying, remember, here's the thing, it's a Dyson, it's not a Hoover, that's what you've got to do. But we know what that rate is. We know how often these doctors go on these training programs. And we know that we can change that rate at the maximum rate of 200 per month because that's the frequency with which you could get at these people. And that tells you how many salespeople you need because then you've got to have enough salespeople to follow up with 200 people per month. I'll just go through this quickly. Existing marketing to customers cannot work. No possible rate of recommendations will drive doctor behaviour. Sales effort alone can't switch doctors. So the only thing we've got is to use these training events to get at the doctors and move them. Now, they hadn't spotted that before, but what they've done is they've done some research in some other business units that they've got. And they've identified that, yes, they can actually pull that lever. They can do that because they've done it in some other product areas. Headlines here, yes, we can fix it, but you really are going to suffer a major downturn. Like, you can't stop that. It is going to happen because you can't actually activate a response until this point in time. But there is a huge impact of doing the strategy right rather than doing it wrong. But to do it, you've got to put in something like 5 times what you were currently planning. Not 20% more, not 30% more, 5 times more. If you do the training and you put in a 50 Salesforce blitz to get around all those doctors during that training cycle, you've got to have 50 reps to get around all of that. And that is 5 times more than the company was currently planning. They got about 6 salespeople and they were planning to increase it to 10 for this new product. And it just won't work. It just cannot work. You need 5 times the current plan strategy, something like 10 million euros, more than you were planning to spend. But that 10 million pays for itself inside 1 year, just in 1 year. And that's the difference it makes to operating profit. And the reason the operating profit is so much bigger than the increase in sales is because the old product, they're basically paying a big license fee to the original patent holder, and this one they're not. So the new product is actually more profitable than the old one, and they can actually make a difference. That's just an example of actually using the approach to solve a real strategy problem for real organizations. So it works. This isn't just a theoretical thing. It does actually work. And there's the model that lies behind it. This is a simulation model. Here's the patient flows going on down here. There's the doctors, and there's key opinion leaders and other specialists up there. I've left out some of the detail earlier. It took about 6 weeks of elapsed time to do that work. I didn't do it. Some friends of mine did that work. So you can use this in 2 ways. You can use it to deal with a specific challenge like that one we just looked at, or you can use it as the basis for a continuous strategic plan. Those 4 points basically repeat the logic I laid out earlier.